I'm Billy, I'm alcoholic.
Hey, Billy.
You know, you get an introduction like that, it really makes you want to be like that. You kind of want to be the person they describe you as. I don't know what, we spent the day in Albemarle today, and on the way back I came through the back way of Troy, and my first sponsor who's been dead many years, we used to sit on the porch. I rode by there today. I thought it wasn't out of the way, but very little. I knew I was coming down here tonight, and used to sit on that porch with R.C., who was, a few people may remember him. He was really the pretty much the founder of AA in our county. And another guy they're all dead now. Tucker's been dead a long time. My sponsor's name was Tucker. And we'd sit there on that porch, and I learned an awful lot. I didn't have a clue, not even a little bit of a clue how to hang with straight people. I mean, my family wasn't straight people. We had a dysfunctional family, ain't no doubt about that. Of course, if I'd have been in Ozzie and Harriet's family, they'd have had a dysfunctional family. But it was a mess. I mean, it was really a mess. Diddy was alcoholic, violent. We didn't have a lot of time we didn't have the necessities because it went to drink. And when you're a little kid, you don't know nothing about this illness thing. You know, nobody's explained to you this is a spiritual malady, and the only feelings we had for him was fear. And he died when I was 14, and it was such a weird thing. You know, on the one hand, well, my daddy's died, I'm supposed to be sad. On the other hand, we survived that. And that's not good for a kid's psyche, I don't think. And then Mama went and married another mean drunk. So that was all screwed up. In school, I was acting out a lot. And back in my day, they didn't have the ADD medicine. I forget what the Adderall and Ritalin, they had paddling. I mean, I got beat like a dog at school. Some of the worst whippings I ever got were at school. This was a bad sign that I was going to be somewhat defiant, I think, but you couldn't go across the grass. There was a sidewalk that went like this. You'd go out here and then turn right and go out there. And I cut across the grass, so did a couple other guys. He called us back, and he had now they won't let you do that, and probably should. I mean, I wouldn't want to debate that. But he had a stick, and he popped us in the butt hard twice. So the other guys, when we left there's two more of them, they went up the sidewalk. I looked back over my shoulder, and he was walking the other way, and I shot across there again. And made it back to the room, and one of the girls come up and said, "Mr. Welch wants to see you." I said, "Oh, God knows." And I was already stinging. And he gave me 3 more licks with that paddle. I mean, tears come to my eyes on that one. So things have changed somewhat with that, but if I got a shot, I want to cross that grass again. I couldn't help myself. Another time in the 8th grade, we had this teacher who was pretty much psychotic, and it wasn't her fault. She'd actually grab her own hairdo like that, and she said, "If I hear one more peep," out of y'all, I mean, I went peep. And she tripped out. Sent me to the office, but this story, now, it goes from laughing to sad. Diddy was in Butner, and when I got in the office, the principal said, "Billy, where's your daddy at?" And before I had time to put on the show, I burst into tears. I mean, they just projectile, you know. I mean, I'm sure he wished he hadn't asked me. But he didn't mention anything about the peep. And he told me I could go on back to the room. He didn't know what to do with it, really. He knew where he's at. He wouldn't mess with it. That was pretty low blow anyway, I thought. But all I'm thinking about, and I think this is part of the ism, is them people going to know I've been crying. That's all I could think about. I went to the bathroom, I remember, and started slapping myself in the face so it all looked red. Don't know how that was going to help. And throwing water in my face and just trying to disguise the fact that I'd been crying. Because big boys don't cry, you know. Now, if anybody even mentions Old Yeller, I don't even have to watch the movie. I'm not crying. But back then, I didn't cry. I mean, I couldn't. And it's sad, really. I mean, as a kid, I had to be the kind of like the man at 8-year-old. Give me a break. Mom would whisper to me, "He's drinking. He's drinking." What do you expect me to? I mean, what am I supposed to do? I'm 8 years old, you know. She'd say, "He's drinking. Don't tell Daddy." I mean, I started to say, "I got an idea. Don't tell either one of us till the stuff starts breaking. How about it? Don't let me lay there and dread it." Because the stuff didn't start breaking the first day. When you smelled alcohol, it was maybe the next day or the next day or maybe a week that it went crazy. So, you know, I tell you these things, I get into high school, and I can't blame, you know, up to the day I got here, some of that stuff I believe did cause a lot of my behavior. Maybe I can even use it for an excuse until I got here and woke up. You know, then I got to leave it behind. I don't know how much it affected me. I think I got a few quirks in my personality maybe from that stuff, you know, but it was bad. You know, kids, it's rough on kids. And it was rough on us. And but we got into high school. I'm still acting like a fool. I was scared to death, but I would do some, especially when I got my driver's license, started doing this really wild stuff, running wide open. Had cars that would run fast, and well, they come out of the factory running fast back then. You put a 4-barrel on them and some headers, and just any car that came out of the factory with a V8 would get on down the road. And I run wide open. I hear somebody say in the hall, I remember this in high school, somebody'd say, "That Billy Dunn is a crazy SOB." And I just swell with pride. I mean, you know, I was somebody. I mean, they thought I was brave. They thought I was crazy. I was wild. Man, that's the first time I'd ever felt like I'd been noticed. You know, growing up, if you grow up in an alcoholic home, the kids ain't noticed much. You just kind of keep them out of the way and keep them quiet. So next thing you know, I graduated high school. I missed 70 days my senior year, and I cheated like a son of a gun. They shouldn't have passed it. I wasn't the only one. They shot us on through because they didn't want us to come back. And I say 70 days. I had first period study hall. I'd go check in and then leave after study hall my senior year. I missed, counting the half days, 70 days. I think you can't miss but 30. But like I said, they did not want another dose of that. So, because I was nothing but, I hindered people learning, people who wanted to learn and go on to college and become something. I hindered it bad. I was too busy trying to make people laugh and get on the teacher's nerves. Had a little problem with authority figures, people telling me what to do and all that stuff. So I go down to Sand Hills. I'm going to change my way. Main reason I went to Sand Hills is I was getting a check because Diddy was dead, and Mama let me have it. $165 cash money every month. That don't sound like much, but gas was about 35 cents a gallon, and Budweiser was $5.75 a case. So you could drink top shelf beer and ride and drink a lot on $165. And my poor old mama I think she tried to make up for a lot of that garbage in childhood, so she subsidized me and subsidized my brother both. Some of y'all met my brother Danny, some of you may not have, but most of you haven't, I guess. But she subsidized me, and I went down there 9 months, made B's, and then incompletes, and then gone. I was driving back to Montgomery County every day. Had an apartment down here. She helped me get an apartment and everything. I drive all the way back to Montgomery County, get with the rednecks and run up and down the road and drinking and spinning tires. I love to spin tires. Oh, I'd spin the back and slick, then put them on the front and spin them slick. You know, spin them around, spin them, and run them. This is stupid. And then, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on drugs, but I did spend a lot of time on drugs when I was out there. And I went from running 120 mile an hour and got a hold of that sweet weed and slowed down to 20. Ain't no running 120 doing that stuff now. All you can do to hold on, run the speed limit. Especially when you first start out and you hadn't got your used to it, whatever. Now I'm back in Montgomery County, hanging out to poker games and stuff. Still hadn't spent any time with straight people, church people. I had a grandma that was a church lady and a grandpa on the other side, but I didn't pay them no attention. I spent all my time with alcoholics and addicts or people who were attracted to them. And I'm clueless. I mean, I don't think there's been many people. This old boy I used to run with, he'd say, I may not drink as much liquor as y'all can, but I can get just as drunk. And maybe my story doesn't have as much, maybe I didn't drink quite as much or do as much dope or whatever, but I stayed wasted from the time I stepped out of East Montgomery until I got to Alcoholics Anonymous in 1989. By the way, my sobriety date is November the 9th of 89. I got that chip with the white lightning, 3 X's on it. The old white lightning bottles on the cartoons got the 3 X's. Harold P. from Albemarle is the one that pointed that out to me. But I'm in my 20s, clueless. A lot of the people that I went to school with and really partied hard in high school, they started peeling off and getting real jobs and getting married and having families and children, and I thought they were uncool. I still was clueless about any kind of a structured life. All I cared about was getting high. I started hanging out poker games. I played poker. I was a good poker player. And the only people that I hung with, some of the really good poker players had some discipline in their lives, and even some of the businessmen, shady businessmen, had some discipline. That's the closest thing I saw to people that was in any kind of control, but they really lacked moral fiber. So the people that I looked up to, Willie Nelson, I guess he's got that. My heroes have always been outlaws, and that's all I knew. I'm telling you, I'm serious. I was as ignorant as anybody's ever been of the straight world. I'd never been exposed to it. I was able to make enough money hustling around in poker games, doing all kind of stuff. I ain't used to getting the details, but I was a pretty decent poker player, and we run poker games, and like I said, we ran a few sideline businesses along with it. That's what I did. That was my deal. I remember the first time, I back up just a little, I was 16-year-old starting to go to them bootleggers around Star. And you first pull up to one of them and say, I don't think I know you. I said, I'm Bill Dunn's boy. They say, gracious life, come in the house. Every one of you, any bootlegger within 30 miles of Star, all I had to do is say, I'm Bill Dunn's boy. Come in the house. They knew until I died I'd be a good customer. But anyway, I'm a small-time hood. And I didn't have the courage to even be that really. I talked big and I carried guns and all that stuff, but I was scared to death. I wasn't cut out for it. I started getting in trouble. When you're young, when you're in your 20s, some of y'all somebody, is there anybody in the 20s? I feel it anyway. I could take it. You know, you could take a licking. You could take that hardcore hangover and keep getting it, but I got to the point I couldn't play poker and make no money. Started getting in trouble. I didn't want to go to prison, so between that and staying so wasted, it just ruined my criminal career. So I decided I needed to get a job, and I started looking for a real job. I'm about 27 years old now, looking for a job, a first real job, really. And I'd ask somebody to say, well, so-and-so's hiring. And I'd say, can you drink? I mean, they said, can you drink? Well, what do you mean, can you drink? Pretty simple question. I mean, I know you can't guzzle it down right inside, but can you slip in and out and drink? Can you be drunk in there? And almost every one of them said no. And I still pour some concrete now. I know I look mighty old to be doing it. I still work a day or two a week doing concrete. What got me in there is they said Bob Cagle was hiring, and I said, can you drink? And they said yes. They started a 40-year career in the concrete. So I started working hard work, Lord knows, really hard work, and almost 90% of the people that were doing it were alcoholic, drug addicts. And most of those guys, most of them are dead. A few of them aren't. David's dead, he's still kicking, and Horace, you met Horace too, I think, Anthony. They're still kicking, but just like myself, they're worse for wear. They've still been going. For 30 years I've been here. Horace ain't checked up. Well, I shouldn't be saying his name. He wouldn't like it, but he ain't going to hear it. I hope to God he comes in here and gets mad at me because he heard his name mentioned in here. But I run with him all those years, and he's still out there, still carrying the flag. Man, I was so sick. I never stopped. I didn't have these breaks. If I went to prison, I know a lot of y'all wouldn't have had the break, but you went to prison. But I didn't go to prison, so I didn't get a break. I stayed high from the time I stepped out of East Montgomery in 1971, and I would have stayed high the 2 years before that, but I still stayed with my mom, and I couldn't. But when I stepped out of East Montgomery, I left home, and I never missed. This ain't no bragging or nothing, it's just the truth. I didn't miss 30 days from 1971 until I stepped in the rooms of AA in 89. I'd go through binges, but I didn't quit at the end of a binge. I just slowed down, tapered down some, and tried to get back on my feet. If I were just smoking dope and drinking a half case of beer a day, I'd tell people, I said, you know, they'd be some of the ones in worse shape than me. I'd tell them I was straight now. I'm serious. I'd say I'm straight. I'd say, hey. So yeah, I mean, I'm drinking maybe a half case and that's it, and I'm smoking a little bit of pot and that's it. I considered that straight, and that's as straight as I got. I get in my 30s, and I'm not going. Like I said, I won't talk too much about the dope, but I got in it heavy and drinking heavy, and I only got one up until this. I've got 2 driving drunks, and if I'd lived down here instead of up there in the woods and Star, no telling how many I'd have had. Back then, when I first started driving, there was 2 patrolmen in the county. One of them at night and one of them in the day. If you did have bad luck and meet him, them cars would run back. If you met him, you just stomp it and turn the first old dirt road up to the right, and you get away from him. I got away from him several times. But in '89, I went to work with this good man. In '85, somewhere along in there. He was a good Christian man. He tried to help me. I was so sick during them years. It was in those last 4 years Robert got to see me at my worst. He'd say good things about me. He'd say, Billy, you're a good man. He said, you're going to make a good one. I'd say, a good what? He said, a good Christian. God knows. I'm ashamed. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't know if y'all can believe how mad that made me. It just like heat run through my body. And I draw back and hit the hood of his truck. Just, bam. I ain't going to make a good GD. Nothing. I know I'm going to, with my back broke, and I don't give a GD. A little tense there. I mean, just angry, just messed up, and bitter because life had dealt me such a terrible hand. But he kept trying. He told me, he'd say, Billy, won't you just try to quit? You're good. He always said I was a good man. He didn't there then. Maybe I don't remember that. I went back trying to make amends to him, and I waited too long, and he slammed the door in my face. Them good people, you can push them to where they don't want to hear it. But he said, Billy, won't you try to quit? And I said, I think I do pretty good with it. That look, I don't know if y'all got that look, like I got it a lot. He said, my God, Billy. He said, how can you possibly think you do it good? I was deathly sick every day. Was drinking on the job, had to. When he said that, I had that second driving drunk in my pocket. He'd helped me get a truck. I'm going to tell you, he trusted me. He paid $1,200 down in 1989, helped me get a brand new Toyota because my old truck kept breaking down, and he needed me to work. I'd work if I could get there. And he helped me get that truck, and I got driving drunk 3 days after he got I put it my name and everything. I was 36 years old, and I'm proud that I put it my name instead of Mom's. We put everything, after the last few years, put everything in Mommy's name. But I got that truck, and I remember thinking, I'm going to try to do better. That truck smelled so good, man. Brand spanking new. And 3 days later, got a driving drunk. And I remember thinking, what kind of luck is this? I'm trying to straighten up. And I thought that. I did. That's how crazy I was. I hadn't changed anything, but I got that truck, and I said, I'm going to try to do better. And I counted that as trying to straighten up. But that driving drunk was, for me, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And plus, I got a miracle. And it's not fair what happened to me. I know people struggle so hard. And I believe me, I struggled. If I had more time, I'd tell you about my adventures in sobriety. But the substance abuse counselor that you had to get interrogated by asked me how much did I drink. And y'all know what the answer to that is. I don't even drink. I had a fight with my girlfriend. I drank 2 beers. State patrolman run the meter up on that thing. They just stop it where they want to and all that garbage. I went to the first assessment. Let me back up. I went to the first assessment, and this young feller, I was 37. He was like 20. He blew 18. He blew 21. I didn't blow at 18. They give him the little school. They don't cost but $150. They give me the big school because I didn't take in consideration that I had prior convictions and different things, and he had all that stuff in front of him. But I said, wait a minute, man. I'm glad you're giving this young fella a break. How come I got to go to $500 school and he's going to the... He said, you get what I give you. And I went, bam! I hit his death as hard as I could hit it. I said, rubber stamp! He could have locked me up or sent me to treatment or somewhere, but he just ignored me. That's the night I went to that assessment that he gave me that school. I stayed up all night long with some help and playing poker and stuff, and went into that thing with no sleep and sit there for an assessment, wild-eyed as a song gun, expecting the little school. Joan Gillis was her name. She asked me how much did I drink. And I said I drank and I drug, and I've been doing it every day for many, many years. I'm really sick and I want to try to stop. Now, buddy, I'm telling you, that's the miracle. That's the first of a string of miracles. Because what you're supposed to tell them, like I said, I don't even drink. Because if you tell them the truth, they'll give you classes forever. I mean, if you I know people when they're trying to get honest, just trying to be honest, and they give them classes to the. They had white hair in mine when they finally got through them stinking classes. But I told her the truth, and she said, you might want to try AA. I told her I wanted to stop. I was going to try to stop. She said, you might want to try AA. And I said, they can't help me. I didn't even know what it was. Well, I mean, you know, I just assumed that I was doomed. I just assumed it. She told me where the meeting is, trying up there behind the Presbyterian Church there at Bisco. Many of y'all have been up there. And I didn't pay any mind, but I didn't know it. But that was my sobriety day. I didn't know it. Shouldn't call it a sobriety day. But I wanted time when I got here, and that was the last drink I had. As soon as they started giving out chips, my first meeting I had 30 days. So I picked up the white chip, and when I give out the 30-day chip, I picked it up. I had seniority right off the jump. I don't really recommend that, but hey, then the newcomers come in. I got a whole month here. Don't be trying to tell me nothing. But anyway, 30 days passed, and I went through. I didn't go to detox. I didn't do anything. I sweated the bed wet and shook and the whole 9 yards. Nightmares. But somehow or another, I didn't drink. It's a miracle. And I was doing hardcore dope too. Like I said, I don't mean to. I don't want to abuse our singleness of purpose, but it was not easy to detox up in there. And my brother and them were right down the road. I could hear them, the stereo blasting down there. They didn't have no buds back then. They just had doggone boom, 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 boom. I heard them. My old boy that used to stop. I didn't have one person stopping at my house there then. He just rode right on by, here to the parking lot with my brothers, and continued on. God knows. My head was spinning. Y'all know the feeling you wouldn't be here. My version of it, I'm sure, is the same as yours, but my head was spinning. All I could think, it's not meant for me to have anything. It's not meant for me to be happy. I had a bad hand. I got to play it out. That comes from my poker times, I guess. And this terrible childhood, and it had warped me, there's no doubt about it. A terrible childhood. We have steps here, thank God, that can straighten that mess out enough to live and have a productive life. But when you first get here, I was warped up. And that's all in my head. I'm all warped up. There's nothing can be done for me. And it was round and round and round. And after about 30 days of it, it was right at 30 days, I said, I can't, it's definitely not meant for me to be sober. I was thinking then, how do they stand being sober? How can y'all take it? I mean, God help. And I got in my little Toyota pickup, and I headed for Candor. Didn't have Beard Star at the time. And halfway down there, like I said, this ain't fair, what happened. For folks that's struggling, I know how I've struggled a lot after I got here. But I blacked out. Halfway, I hadn't drank nothing, done no dope, nothing. 30 days approximately. And I got halfway between Bisco and Star, and I blacked out. When I come out of it, I pulled in the parking lot of that A meeting that John Gillis told me about. And I think I said, damn. Whoa. And I tried to leave. And I was so beat. I was so tired. I couldn't hardly put one foot in front of the other. And my whole life didn't flash in front of me or nothing, but that tape was still playing. It's not meant for me to have anything, not meant for me to be happy. And a powerful thought came in my head, and it was, it's not going to get any better than this. And I cannot explain to y'all. Well, I don't have to explain to y'all because you've been there. You can't explain this to normal people, if there is such a thing. But I was so close to just flying all to pieces. If somebody snuck up behind and hit the side of my car like this, I'd still be in a nut house somewhere trying to make a basket. I know I flew all to pieces. I was wound up and just, God knows. Man, such an awful feeling. It's not going to get any better than this. And I understood what that meant. It's a miracle. The next thought was, it can't be any worse down there. And the hut's down the hill. It can't be any worse down there than it is here. And I thought, God, it can't. And somehow or another, this is fuzzy. I mean, it's very, very fuzzy. I'll probably tell it just a little different, maybe at different times. But I got out and went down that hill and went in that door at the hut. And David and K.A. and R.C. and Robert were all four there that night. And some of you folks know them. If they went to the West End group, some of the old folks. Man, David asked me how I was doing. I said, I'm doing great. Really doing good. How about you, bud? He said, have you been here before? I said, no, sir. He said, you first meet? I said, yes, but I went to a meeting back in the early 70s to improve my resume for a judge, but I don't remember what they said or anything. I don't even count it. I just went in there so I could say I'd been. Pick me up a chip, I could show them and all that stuff. But he said, most people coming in here for the first time not doing as good as you are. Man, that's so cool. I've always wanted to put that on somebody, but I've never remembered it. And I said these words that are probably the most important words I've ever said in my life. And I said, I don't know what y'all got here, but I can't stop drinking. And they just love me up. I don't remember a word they said that night. Tucker was there. I do remember this. They said, you need to get a sponsor. I said, who was drunkest the longest? Pretty smart. Tucker said, that'd be me, 44 years. He was drunk 44 years. And he looked it too, buddy. He says, he told me that night, I said, well, what do we do? He said, I want to go to a meeting every night. I ain't got no driver's license, ain't never going to have one. None. I want you to come get me. We go to a meeting every night. And all my life before then, I said, yeah. I went and picked that old man up every single night for about 4 years. And we went to a meeting. I missed a few. Concrete, in the wintertime, I missed a very, very few. I picked him up every night. He was worried to death. He really didn't know how to do the steps with me like he would have liked to, but he got R.C. and Harold at the colony, Dick Simmons at the colony, David Cook was the cook at the colony. David Buffkin, excuse me. Harold P. over at Albemarle. All those guys, they helped me. Tucker tell R.C. he's going to get drunk. He's going to get drunk. R.C. said, well, let him get drunk. Ain't nothing. I can't tell him nothing. R.C. told me a good story about this place. He brought a newcomer down here, and he said the guy gave just an awesome, good talk. And at the end of the meeting, he picked up a white chip. I like that. I'm glad I remembered that. That's why, Larry. He said it was a good talk. But I got introduced to the colony with Tucker. Tucker was one of the Hall of Fame down there, poster child. I mean, he stayed 10 days in 7th Street detox and then still had to detox. He done been in detox 10 days and they let him stay in the bed. It was an 8-week program back then, and he stayed there 11 weeks. The first 2 still in the bed. So you figure, say 10 days there, 10 days at 7th Street detox, and he woke up down there. Oh, they proud of old Tucker now, like I said. So we were there every Tuesday night and every Sunday morning at the colony, and that's what started my relationship with them. Was going to church down there. Mac Willingham, not an alcoholic, so I can certainly say his last name, was the director and the chaplain. I did my first and best 5th step with him while I was still hurting. I didn't wait. I got the steps right away. Within 6 weeks of my first meeting, I had completed the 7th step. Not completed, but had went through. I did a 5th step with Mac. I didn't write it properly. I didn't have the people to show me. I pretty well wrote a life story down, but I wrote the truth down, and Mac took it and he did the columns for me, if you know what I mean. He knew how to do it. He pointed out the patterns. I would have benefited from treatment, there's no doubt in my mind. And the path I've took since I've been here would not be the suggested path other than the not drinking part. I still was in crazy relationships and all that stuff, and my sponsor, they told me to wait a year and I didn't listen, and they told me to do this, but I went to a meeting every night and I didn't drink, and I did get in the steps, and I got better. But it has been kind of a wild ride for me. I got married, divorced, sober. I got married 5 years sober and divorced at 15 years sober. Left at 7 years sober. Married a school teacher. Now, how was that possibly going to work out? I never got along with a school teacher. She took a whiteboard one time and put on the wall how I was screwing up with ABC, 1, ABC, 2, ABC. You were doing this, 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 and this. Oh. I learned an awful lot from her. I really did. I learned as much from her as anybody I've ever met. I couldn't receive it at the time. She had some good stuff. One thing she told me, that if you argue with a fool on the side of the road, a passerby won't know who the fool is. That's good advice. I'm married to a lady now who really don't want to hear this stuff all that much. She's heard all she wants of it. I come in all excited about the newcomers and this and that and the other. And she's heard all. She'll listen up to a point, but she's not nearly as interested in this as I am. And she doesn't have to be. That's not one of the qualifications. We get along pretty good. It's the best relationship I ever been in. It took me till I was an old man. They say don't leave until the miracle happens. For me, it took about 25 years. Hopefully y'all won't have to wait that long. But the truth of the matter is, what I have now is awesome. It really is. I'm calm 90% of the time. I don't take things personally like I did, but it took me a long, long time. I let self-will run riot a lot more than I should have. I didn't listen to sponsors like I should have. The people that do don't have to wait till they're about shot to have what's available early on. I don't recommend the path I took, except the not drinking part. I got that. You get to pick up chips, I don't care how crazy you are if you don't drink. Thank God. I mean, if it was emotional sobriety, but I'm good to go now. Like I said, I've got a good life. I've got a cabin over in the wilderness. I go over there regular. It's on the side of the mountain, the little river. It's back in the wilderness. Stars wilderness, but it's too crowded for me. And I spend a lot of time back in the woods, and it's just, I've got a really good life now. That relationship with the colony, man, it's hard to believe. I do the service down there every other Sunday. I felt like for a long time I was supposed to do it, but I could not imagine not slipping and cussing up there or looking up dresses or something. The good Lord had enough sense to let me wait till I was about 65 years old before He put me in such a place as that. And so far I hadn't slipped and cussed in every time that I know of. Most people wear a pantsuit, so I don't have to worry about that. I love that deal. I love what I'm doing down in the colony. I love it. I can't believe it. My God. If I even went in a chapel, I wasn't fit to go in there. I didn't know what an agnostic was when I got here. But I think that's what I was. I kind of believed. But I just was so dead blame mad at God, I wasn't fixing to get on my knees and ask Him for nothing. I blamed Him totally for the childhood and all these different things. And it really wasn't that I didn't believe. I was just mad at Him. And by working the steps and seeing my own life change, I came to believe. And as far as turning my will, my life over to the care of God, I turned the drinking and the doping over to Him. I quit stealing. I quit playing poker, and the reason I quit playing poker, I want to explain this. I love playing poker, and I was pretty good at it. I quit a year before I stopped drinking for obvious reasons. I mean, I was drunk, and I couldn't win. But I thought, now I'm sober, I'll get back in there, I can go back to making money again. But something happened because of y'all. I had compassion. And you can't have that in the MMA. You can't have it in poker. Because if you let the man up, he'll get you. And the people who support gambling joints are the people who can't afford to play. The people who support the liquor industry, you take the alcoholics out, and you won't have to have a liquor store about every 100 miles. And the poker thing there, I could see the eyes, I could see it. I'd always turn a blind eye to the people who were supporting the game, had the kids with the holes in their shoes. And people like me thought we slick and cool taking the money. I couldn't do it anymore. Now I ain't got nothing against gambling. Y'all go for it, have a big old time. But I couldn't do it anymore. I had to change those people, places, and things. Not only because I just didn't, all them years I felt like I didn't fit in. I surely don't fit in there anymore. I fit in here. I feel good in here. Because I look around when I'm telling you all these things, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. One way, shape, or form. Some of them was way worse, and some of them were not as bad, and all that stuff. But how we felt is that common bond. I mean, we all felt, at the very best, weird, and couldn't be successful because there was nothing that could satisfy us. And now I've got a simple life. I don't have all that much money, but I'm satisfied. It's good. I would have never dreamed I could have this. I didn't think it was possible for me. I thought, like I said, it was some cosmic bad hand that I'd been dealt. But that wasn't so. That was a lie. This is good. This is good. It's way better than that other life I had. And I'm starting to do all kinds of weird stuff. I'm going to sit down. I appreciate it. Thank you.